I can't. There you go. So everyone is seeing my screen, right?
Not yet. I'm setting my computer, but you guys can start, and I'll catch up.
Okay. But the rest is saying yeah.
Yeah. You guys can go ahead.
Just give me a second. Okay. So are we trying to explain the basics of synth? So let's see. Synth1 is actually pretty. Who is not using headphones? It's really distracting since I can hear myself speak twice. Who is it? Is it our boy Make Anime Real? Oh, Maverick. Shit, can I mute him? Mute. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was Maverick. Alright.
Yeah, so
Okay, this is I'm just gonna type. Tell me when you get headphones. Alrighty. Sorry, do you have headphones now? I think it's working. Can you hear me, Maverick? Okay, yeah, no problem. Alright, so let me just see if this works. Yep. So synth1 is actually a pretty easy synth. Let's see. We have we basically have, let's say, 4 parts that are important. First ones is oscillators. Second ones are, I'm gonna say, all of these are the effects. All of these are the filters. And this is random shits that we'll see later. So, does everyone know the difference? I'm guessing you at least have heard of the difference waves, like sine wave, square wave, saw, triangle. Wait, why can I not hear you? Okay, or just type. It's typing also. Okay, so everyone knows. So yeah, sine wave is very smooth, triangle is a bit more aggressive, etc. So what we have here, let's talk at first just for this thing right here. So what is easy? Can I not make this all scroll down? Oh. Shit. So it's kind of easy. If you click on the buttons here or here, you can switch between like each oscillator type, which is, yeah, everyone knows which saw sounds like what. You have detune, which I think everyone knows what it is. It's basically, well, it's in the name, it detunes the wave a bit by a certain pitch, makes it sound fatter. And then we have FM, which for all intents and purposes is a cheap distortion. I could go very technical, but basically it's distortion. Then next to it we have the sub, which is another oscillator, which basically is we have three oscillators in synth1. We have the 1, the 2, and the sub. And the sub, I don't actually use that one that much because I like to have a sub oscillator like in a different instrument. But what it does is basically you have another oscillator where you can also choose which wave it is, and you can also choose this will be the volume. So right now it's at 0. If it were like over here, it would be at 70%. And you can also choose like what pitch it is. Then you have your second oscillator. Again, you can choose your waveform. You have pitch, which here is in semitones. Basically, if you want to do fancy power chords or stuff like that. And then you have fine, which is not semitones anymore, which I don't really use all that much. It's if you want to have some really specific sounding stuff. Ring is for ring modulation. This is going to be really hard to explain. Are you still hearing me? Is everything going all right? Because everything is going a bit silent. Okay. Just if you have any questions, just type. So basically ring modulation is kind of together with frequency modulation. It's a way to distort the sound, basically. It's hard to explain if I cannot like make you listen to this stuff, but once I get my setup on, I can teach you a bit more. So sync is also you sync the pitch of your first oscillator to the one. Basically, you don't use this knob anymore because any pitch, like any keyboard key you will press for oscillator 1, oscillator 2 will get the same. So if you get like an A here, it will also automatically go A, and this cancels out. Here you have the mix. I think like all the way to the right, to the left is oscillator 1, all the way to the right is oscillator 2, which means if you have it in the middle, you hear both oscillators equally. If you have it all the way to the right, it's only one, and on the other, yeah. What do we have? This is phase width. Yeah, phase width. This is something special. So this only works. Oh, someone's joining. Oh, wait, this is wrong actually. Right now, this is wrong actually. Who is joining? Or is it calling for me? I think it's other. So basically, okay. So basically, phase and phase width and tune are all kind of special because when you have two oscillators, let's say we have two square waves, which are the exact same frequency. There you go. So you have oscillator 1 and oscillator 2. If you add them together, what will happen is you basically take this value right here and add it to this one, which means that if this value was 1 and this value was you get a value of 2, which means you get something like a lot louder, if that makes sense. But now, where you can get interesting sounds is by changing the phase or the phase width. What you do is you change the position of the two waveforms to another, which means that here you will get 1, but here it's 0, or like right here, but around here, like this is 1, so this will give you 2, this one will give you 1, and then you can get like a lot of, will give you a form like this or something. It will give you like a crazy wave basically, and this is how you can mix and match different waveform, well, sine waves or square waves together to give you interesting sounds. Not really sure what key shift does. I'm guessing this is if I remember correctly, I only touched synth1 like yesterday for a couple of hours, so I'm not sure really. But I think what happened is key shift is basically like the pitch knob, but for all the oscillators. Whoops, this is not what I wanted. There you go. But basically for all the oscillators. All right, what do you have? Does everyone know what this is? The classic ADSR. Please tell me you know what it is. You don't know what the basic ADSR is. Okay. Wait. How? You do. It's attack, delay, sustain. Yeah. Oh, you just fucking scared me. This is like basic shit right there. So if we have volume and yeah, so everyone knows this is attack. Right, this is actually a bad waveform. Fuck. Ooh, there you go. There you go. So yeah, attack is how long does it take to go to full volume. Delay was the delay. Sustain is once you hit 100 per year, how is the note going to sustain? So if you put sustain at 80, it's going to drop. Release is then like the small echo of that. So ADSR, that's easy enough. Gain is basically volume, and velocity is something you find only in certain. I only never use velocity, just for like automation to make shit easier. It's basically how hard you hit the key. Sorry. All right. So, does anyone have any questions about oscillators or the amplifier at the moment? So this thing right here. Or is everything clear? Like if you want to do interesting sounds, it with all the effects and everything. This is where it gets interesting. The dest thing. Where is it? Dest. Oh, this year. This is destination. Oh wow, I didn't even see that one. Oh, this is okay. So this is for your modulation, I think. So you have your oscillator 1 and 2. God damn it! Just give me a second. There you go. All right, so we have our oscillator 1 and 2 right here. And then dest is for destination. You have here, you have like a mini envelope just with attack and the decay, which you can use. It's basically a mini envelope for either your second oscillator, your frequency modulation, or your phase width, which means I'm not like I haven't tried this, but I'm guessing that if you use, so first you have to click the button to turn it on. If you say destination oscillator 2, what's going to happen is you have your first oscillator, let's say it's a sine or triangle wave, and the second one is a saw wave. Basically, what's going to happen here is if you make an envelope with this right here, there's a bit of attack like this, and then a bit of decay like that. What's going to happen, I think, I'm not sure, I haven't tried this out, is basically the volume of the oscillator 2, because destination is on oscillator 2. What's going to happen is the volume of the oscillator 2 rise according to your attack, and decay according to your decay. I think this is what's going to happen, and you can also then use it for either frequency modulation or your phase width. Anything else? The amount of, amount of minimal is the amount. So basically, when you have your envelope right here, it's how high you have it. But then again, like I often put envelopes on oscillators. So if I haven't used synth1, but I use Harmor, where you can put envelopes on everything, and I often put envelopes on oscillator 2, but I have no idea what happens if you put it in frequency modulation. You could get like really cool sounds or something really weird. I have no idea. All right, so can I cross off oscillators for the moment and amplifiers? Saying that we did that, everyone understands how this works. All right. You said D was decay or delay? Decay. So I know I'm not very understandable right now, but decay. There isn't delay anywhere except, well, right here. It's delay is an effect, and decay is for whenever I'm talking envelopes like ADSR, like right here. This is decay. All right. So next up, filters. This is also kind of easy. Do I have to explain this, or do you know what it is? Let's see. Let's hear the answers, boys. Don't be shy. All right. Yes and no. So what it does. So the basic thing of a filter is when you have, okay, so this is time and this is frequency. So basically, everything I draw here, these are high notes. Everything I draw here are like mid notes, and anything I draw here are low notes. All right. So basically, let's have to do this. Okay. So basically, what you do with a filter, hey, magic pen. Let's save this. There you go, rainbow pen. So what a filter does, you have three kinds of filters. Often they have a certain symbol to them. You have high pass, low pass. Wait, no. You have low pass, high pass, and band pass. Basically, what this means is a low pass. What you're going to do is you're going to let every lower frequency, so like the low sounds, it's kind of like an EQ, you're going to let them through, but you're going to cut off everything up here. So this is, you're not going to hear this, you're just going to hear what's down here. This is a low pass filter. If you do a high pass filter, you do the opposite. You keep high tones, but you delete everything underneath. This is a high pass. And lastly, band pass, you keep stuff in the middle, but you delete stuff above or stuff below. This is a band pass. What you have here is basically different types of filters you have. So low pass is the most used. This is why often you have two of them. You have low pass 12 and low pass 24. They're basically, they do the same thing. It's just they operate on different levels. I'm not sure. I think it's how they analyze the hertz and know at which frequency to cut. So basically, there is difference, but I couldn't really explain. I don't read differences. They just sound different. In my opinion, the 24 one sounds a little bit more crisp, but that's it. So you have low pass, high pass 12, and bypass 12. Same thing here. You can have an envelope on your filter, which means let me actually come on. I'm just gonna open up Harmor because this is amazing to show just that. There you go. So for filters, there's nothing better than Harmor. There you go. So, oh shit, just give me default. There you go. So, shit, this is long. Okay, so you have here, you have like every frequency right there. Those are the low frequencies. Those are the high frequencies. Here we have a low pass. And what happens when I move this, you see, it cuts off the frequencies. Same thing with if I do a classic band pass, you see it's only a region in the middle that changes. And same thing with high pass. And same thing here with this, so ADSR, you can basically have an envelope just like here, where you can have filter one frequency, be like, hey, I want to do something, which means this is not working. Oh, wait, there you go. There you go. Which basically it's an envelope on your filter, which means you can do cool sound and mess around with it to have like sound that evolve over a certain portion of time. So just going over each knob here. So ADSR is your envelope. Frequency is basically where do you cut. So the higher it is, the more higher tones you're going to cut. resonance. You have resonance, saturation, and I think it's for tracking. Resonance is basically, and let me show you. So take that off. This to a low pass. Okay, so this is the normal sound. If I cut off some frequencies, it looks like that. And if I put in some resonance, see what it does? Basically, what happens is what resonance does is as the frequencies are cut off abruptly, but the higher ones are more distinctive. Enhance the bands. How the fuck do I do that? Is it here? Here. Oh, there you go. Holy shit, this is lagging. I meant, yeah, but I always felt like the more resonance you put in, even though it enhances the bands, I thought it cuts, like it doesn't cut them out, but like it drowns. Yeah, it amplifies those higher low notes more or less. Yeah, I think that's a good way of saying it. I honestly, I have no idea. I just know what it sounds like, and that's about it. So yeah, it enhances the higher notes that you cut off. Yeah, it's a weird echo. I mean, that's resonance basically. It's whoops. But it doesn't echo really. It's more of an aftertaste of the bands you cut off. If that makes any sense, kind of, because it doesn't echo really. It's more of a sound that you cut off that kind of comes back somehow. That's how I understand it. Anyway, we have, what do we have? So this is resonance. Like honestly, like, goddamn, everything I'm saying here is like the theory. Like the way I do sounds is like I know what it. Even though sometimes I know what it technically does to a sound, like I often just slap random shit together to hear how it sounds. This is how I make sounds basically. Velocity is again how hard you hit the key. It's kind of useful sometimes, like if you look in FL Studio on the piano roll, when you put down notes, you can control the velocity. And with that, you can and here, if you turn this on, that means like depending on the velocity you put in here, your filter is going to change. I don't use it all that much, to be honest. I prefer like automation. Anyway, Sid Moscati, do you have any idea what saturation does? I have no idea what it does. Don't even have saturation here. Nope. I have, maybe it's not saturation. I don't know what it is. Just let me, you know what? I'm just gonna try it. Let's see. Where's the inside here? Let's see. It sounds louder. It's kind of like some sort of distortion. Plays with a dynamic range more frequent. Oh, I see. Well, hey, you learn something new every day. No, saturation is distortion effect, but not in here. Yeah, I think, yeah, basically, like, what I'm hearing is, I don't know what it does exactly, but it's basically some sort of distortion. And track is keyboard tracking, which means, like, depending on higher or lower notes. All right. And I think that should cover the filter section. Or does anyone have more questions? Like pumping up the valves in a valve pull the volume up. I guess so. Yeah. Like, I have no idea what it does, so. Alright. Do we move on to the interesting shit now? Is everyone okay with that? Alright, so next up is your effect panel. This is kind of basic. I've seen this now and I wouldn't really use it because it's kind of minimal. What it does is, if you look here, I know it's small when I do it like that. Basically, you have don't know what it does. You have compression, phaser 1, phaser 2. This is probably delay. This is probably ring modulation. You have like classic effects that you can put on, and like you have how much level is how much the effect affects the sound. So let's say if you put in delay, how loud is the delay, and then control 1 and control 2 controls, like, I don't know, the feedback or the stereo or whatever. Like in synth1, I haven't really touched that at all because I don't really like it, since you don't have too much control over each effect, but that's pretty easy, just regular effects. Equalizer, pan, I mean, please tell me you all know what an equalizer is, and you know what pans is, you know, when you make toast in there. All right. So now, let's quickly go through the rest. Arpeggiator, everyone knows what that is. It's basically when you do a lot of notes really fast. Now, the really interesting thing, I think, synth1 is all here. This is the juicy stuff. This is how you get good sounds. So, does everyone knows what is? Low frequency, yeah, for modulating stuff, exactly. So basically, this is how you get good, oh well, not good, it's how you get interesting sounds. For me, even though a lot of a lot of stuff of sounds, especially in synth and retrowave, can be quite simple. What makes stuff sound professional and analog sometimes is stuff that sounds like it has mistakes or the sound is evolved and kind of dirty. Like it's not like if you have just a fucking pure saw wave that is perfect with nothing else, it's gonna sound boring because it is boring. So here I'm not gonna explain well at all because this is where the magic happens for me at least, because you have two LFOs, 1 and 2. Again, you have the destination. You say, I want this to affect oscillator 1. I want this to affect the filter or the volume, so the amplifier and whatever. You can again keyboard track it. You can adapt it to the tempo, which means that tempo is sometimes really nice if you want to have like kind of a sidechain in your instrument already, which means even if you change your BPM like midway through making your song, you don't have to change your LFO because it's always going to be in the right tempo. Speed, yeah, how fast does it go? Is it or is it amount is how high your oscillator is going to be, and that's about it. So if we want to do, I think the best way to, this is basically the whole thing. So let's choose, let's see, synth, no, not bass, I want the brass, something. Or, sure, brass string. Actually, no, this sounds kind of boring. Okay, so we have this sound. Oh shit, right, you cannot hear it. That is kind of unfortunate. All right, so can I make this bigger? Oh, this is unfortunate. All right, so what you have here is if we compare, there you go. If you compare, so on the left, I have the default on synth1, which is basically the empty, the initial sound. And on the right, what you see is one of the presets that you have in your first sound bank. So I'm just going to quickly go over what they changed and what it does to the sound. I'm listening quickly to the sound. It's kind of a saw wave-ish, kind of a bit dreamy lead, like not sure which track I could compare it to, but yeah. So first thing they changed. So let's go through it step by step. So oscillator 1, everything that stays. So everything here is the same. They keep using, except for this, they're using a saw wave, which gives you a bit more of an aggressive sound. I think saw waves are probably the most used. Saw and square waves are like the most used sine waves because sine waves are really soft. You only use them really for basses and like really low smooth sounds. Triangle waves mostly as well because they're very similar to sine waves. But square and saw waves, they are really more aggressive. So they're using, you know what? I'm gonna do it like that. They're using, there you go. This They don't detune it, they don't frequency modulate it. The sub is also at 0, so no sub. What they do, let's see. ADSR, let's see, it's pretty much the same, except that they put the attack at 0, which means it doesn't build up. Decay is normal. Sustain is a bit higher, so after a moment it gets a little bit quieter, but it's still pretty loud. And release is a bit lower, which means even after you take your hands off the key, of your keyboard, the sound is going to drop off more rapidly. Gain, this is basically volume, is like that. This doesn't do anything. And level, velocity, that I don't really care about it because I don't use velocity. I thought I saw a question. I had a question. Basically, when you want to make a chord, what things should you keep in mind? It depends. This is like really hard now because you cannot hear what I want to make you hear. So it depends on the chord. Usually, when you have chords which use more than 3 notes, I'd say three notes, 2 or 3 notes, you don't want aggressive sounds usually. Like use more for triangle wave, because aggressive sounds are, even if they sound loud, even when they're not, they sound so aggressive that they sound louder, which means this is why square and saw waves use so much for leads, because they sound so more aggressive. They're more, how do you say, they pop more, so you pay more attention to them. If you compare that to, let's say, what you often hear, like in orchestra, what you hear often in, say, like a brass, like if you have brasses, like low horns and stuff, they are more along the side, I would say, of a sine wave, because they're smoother, which blends better. Does that help at all? It, like, chords, the thing with chords is it depends what you want to achieve with that chord. If you want to have chords that are basically that drive your, would use sounds that are more aggressive, like saw, square waves, put in maybe a bit of distortion in there. That's okay. But if you want to have chords that are like holding up, like let's say you have a lead, or then I would use something more soft, take out a bit of the higher frequencies. Oh yeah, and something I think I should mention is when you EQ. Oh, wait, no, not even everyone hears that. So basically, this is your EQ. You have your knobs here. This is the different frequencies. So something you should always look for is when you have different instruments. Let's say your bass is gonna mainly be here. Let's say you also have a couple of chords. They are mainly here in this frequency, and you have an arp or bells that are mainly here. This is what you want to have. When I was starting out making sounds, I would often put like a lot of distortion and stuff, which means all of a sudden my chords would have all of my chords would have high frequencies as well, which means they're gonna overlap right here. And more often than not, that doesn't sound good. You want like each instrument to be in its own, it doesn't have to be exact. Depends. Most of the time it doesn't have to be exact, but you don't want too much overlapping between the different frequencies of your instruments. Because if you do, what's gonna end up happening is everything is gonna get mushed together in the mix and you don't really hear every instrument individually, but you hear more of like a soup of everything together. And this is mainly how I see chords, basically. It's what is the goal of your chord? Does that help? Attack. Oh, then again, like you said, attack, it depends on the chord again. If you want a smooth chord that like is setting up for something, then you get attack. But if you something, let's say you have a very punchy kick and snare, something like very rhythmic, then you can have like no attack at all on your chord, which gives you a more raw kind of feeling to your song, like very aggressive. All right. Anything else you wanted to ask? Okay. Now watch me. You know what, for the end, because I think everyone's getting a bit bored. Synth1 just this. Gonna do something easier. We're just gonna look at. Have you all heard how to get good here? Have you all heard my the latest track I did put it? And we're just gonna quickly go through the track and have a listen to it. Alright, so, oh my god, please don't crash on me. Oh yeah, that doesn't matter. Get the fuck out of here. Boom. Get the fuck out of here. Just give me my wave candy. Why aren't you working, my boy? Okay, there we go. Nice work. Alright. So what I'm gonna do for the end here is this is something always very nice. Side settings you have your kick snare. Alright, so I hate this. So what I have for my sidechain is I do have let me see, I should have it here. I have a I do have a preset, but honestly I almost never use it. Like what I do is, so the thing that matters when you do a sidechain, I always do it with the limiter, easier, but you can also do it like manually, just basically what is also very nice is you can do it coupled with a filter, sidechain without altering the volume, but or high pass. So that's really nice. But it basically comes to those two, like threshold and ratio. The attack and release also, but I have, this is basically my preset main. I don't know, let me see. Sidechain. Okay, this is my preset, but I almost never use it like that because I always end up changing it. Like sometimes I'm like, oh wait, no, for this instrument, like this is my bass, and I don't want the kick to completely drown it out. So I'm gonna make the threshold a bit higher, so the volume doesn't go down as much. Depends out on the sound being sidechain exactly with the ratio and stuff. I'm like, sometimes if you have like a continuous sound like a bass or like a solid, having a high ratio is really nice because it comes in really nice back. But for an ARP, you don't want a high ratio because all you're gonna do is basically make 5 notes completely unhearable, which is kind of shit. Sorry, let me just hopefully later. Also the BPM. You want to know how? Oh yeah, it also depends on the BPM. I thought you want to ask how I choose my BPM, but yeah, no, it also depends on your BPM. Yeah, you said. Like for usually I don't use more side. It depends to make it more bouncy. Yeah, it depends. Usually it's what I do, but sometimes it depends what you want to have. Right? Sometimes, like if I have low beat,
those aren't your memories. They're
for
somebody
me,
else's.
I like to have a lot of sidechain because it's slower. It comes, you have more time for it to come back. But the thing is, the higher sidechain is, the longer it takes for your instrument to come back, which means in higher BPM tracks, the problem you're gonna have is since your kick, like usually I just sidechain the kick and the snare, sometimes not even the snare, but in higher BPM tracks, since your kick hits more often, your instruments that you sidechain are gonna get deafened more often, which means even though it makes the track more bouncy, it makes it more like up and down. Yeah, I don't really like that, but some people do. It's at least for the bass, yeah. It's honestly, it's all a matter of taste. Some people like it, some people don't. So what I'm gonna do is hopefully, I haven't done this at all. Can just lower the release in that case. You could, yeah. Like honestly, what I do with this is I just change the knobs until it sounds good. Like I mainly use threshold, ratio. Don't really use that much of attack because when I use sidechain, I want it to be like pretty low. But release, yeah, sometimes. Mostly threshold, ratio, and release. Sustain also not that much. Most of the time when I use it, it's pretty short. But yeah, you can just like the way I do music is I just play around with knobs and look what here is good. After a while, you just kind of know what stuff does, or like sometimes you don't even really know what it does, but how it's gonna hear or feel. And now watch me play through my latest track and completely destroy everything I'm trying to teach you. Let's see. So what we have here is just give me a second actually. I think there's a pretty good preset for this. Right now, I don't want vector spectrum. There you go. All right, so at first in my track, at first you have like the ARP coming in with band pass filter, low pass filter. So basically, you can see it rise, so that everyone understands. Like low notes or everything is like near the bottom are low notes, near the top are high notes. When it's blue, it's pretty much quiet, and when it's like red to yellow to white, then it's like, oh fuck. Okay, so let's see. So now I have the ARP as building up, and then I have the bass. See it? All right, here it comes. There, you see it right there. You see the bass kicking in. This is my sub, so this is like very low. Yeah, it's still going on. Then you hear this right here, sidechain. Like you see the kick takes up like almost the whole spectrum, and what you see right here is basically how to join the call. How to, I don't know, there's a button usually. Do you want me to try and remake the call? Or should... Alright, let's just continue for now. So the two. Alright, so let's go again. So we have the R, and then we have right now we have the bass coming in, which at first is just a sub, so just like the lower frequencies. But as we go on, you see that is also starting to gain more higher frequencies. Let's see. So yeah, these are like, if you look at it, you can see the sidechain. I don't have this track because the more sidechain you do, the punchier your drums are, which for some tracks you want, but for others, like for this one, I didn't want. Like on really hard sidechains, you would see like everything here would be blue. Now I have the lead coming in, like, and you can see them a lot of here and here. I put less sidechain on it, so you would hear them better through the mix. I'm not sure how he does to join on the. What you see here are the effects, like an uplifter, a downlifter. I really like them. Why can't I freeze? God damn it! Back here. All right. What I think is also important. All right. Let's talk about Yeah, there is video. Get out of here. There we go. Before I go, let's talk a bit about construction. So this track was actually really fun to make because the way I did this track, I'm too late. Wait, no. No. You're not. Even if there's no video, oh, you're still recording it. Whether do you have a YouTube or something where you can list it or something? I don't think you can join video. All right, so the way I do each track can, like, you'll see it in the structures of some of my songs. Is let's see. There you go. Try this one. So as you can see, this one. Oh yeah, this one was Days of Tomorrow. Even titled wrong here because I changed the title midway through. Someone tell him there should be a join call. Let me see. Yeah, there is.